If you want a clean, simple, and functional side step for your 2019 and newer Ram 1500 that isn't going to cost you a fortune, then these 6-inch I-Step wheel-to-wheel running boards will be the right choice for your truck. Featuring a high load rating, a really large step pad, and a very agreeable price, there's a lot to like about these steps. One quick note on fitment here before we dive in. These boards are designed to fit 2019 and newer Ram 1500 crew cabs with the 5'7" bed. When it comes to running boards and side steps, sometimes the simple option is the best one. What you really need your side steps to do is give you a stable place to put your feet in order to access the cabin, the roof of your truck, or your bed space quickly and safely. And these accomplish exactly that. As the name would imply, the entire step is 6 inches wide from stem to stern, and of course they're going to span the full length of your wheelbase. That means you've got a big wide step to get your feet planted on, as opposed to some more stylized options. So these are going to allow you plenty of access to the cabin, the roof, and even the bulkhead area of the bed, which is not something we see on all running boards because of their extended length here. On the top of the step surface, you're going to find this big pad that's going to have plenty of grip for your shoes no matter how messy it might get outside. These also feature a 300-pound weight capacity for each board too, and in a world where side steps and Nerf bars are predominantly chunky, angular, and aggressive looking, these are really thin and clean. In fact, from certain angles you might not even notice them right away. Now, I personally like a more subtle side step design, and the thinness here means that these are going to give you the step space you need with a look that won't distract from other elements of your truck. Now, the caveat here is that these are not very off-road oriented because they do hang a bit low and they cut into your ground clearance somewhat, especially if you aren't running a lift kit on your truck. However, unless you're doing some more serious off-roading, that likely isn't going to be an issue, and it's a trade-off you have to make with these sorts of things. While the higher clearance options won't impact off-roading as much, they don't offer you the same amount of access that these do. So if you're driving predominantly on the street, these are going to keep your truck looking nice and sleek and provide you plenty of access. The bars are made from stainless steel with a textured black powder coat finish. Now that steel construction means that these are very strong, and the powder coat over top of the material gives it additional protection against rust and corrosion. The step pads on top are made from ABS plastic, which is basically the standard plastic you're going to find on every piece of trim on a truck or car. So it's going to match any other trim that your truck might be sporting. Of course, you also get all the hardware and matching brackets as well for a complete package. Now these actually do come in 2 pieces. You may not be able to tell it here, and I don't want to take these apart because it's going to fall, but to give you that additional length, they do come in 2 pieces. But we'll talk more about installation in a moment. Pricing comes in at about $400, and that makes this one of the most affordable sets of running boards you can get for these trucks. Now, of course, you could spend a lot more on fancy electronic steps or some big chunky Nerf bars, but these are going to look good and get the job done, and they don't cost you too much. And sometimes that's your best option. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you about 2 hours to complete. This is a totally bolt-on operation. You don't need to modify anything on the truck itself, so it should go pretty quickly, though like I mentioned, there is some assembly required as the steps do come in 2 pieces. Let's head on out to the shop though, and we're going to walk you through that install process step by step.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, a 5mm Allen socket, a 13mm socket, and a 13mm wrench. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing some side steps on our Ram, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so we do have our truck up on the lift. This is simply to give you a better view of what we got going on. You can very easily do this at home on the ground. No need for a lift or jacks. This is, again, just to show you what's going on. The first thing we need to do is install our mounting brackets for our steps themselves. Now, in your kit, you're gonna have a shorter bracket with a little notch on the mounting point and then 2 larger ones. The shorter one is gonna be for the rear of your driver and passenger side. They are the same for both sides, so you don't have to designate which one's which. Just grab a shorter one for the rear, and the 2 longer ones are gonna be for the center and front mounts. So, we'll come to the back side of our rocker panel, and we've got 3 mounting studs right here, and that's gonna be the same for each of our mounting positions. So we'll get this on. You wanna line this up with your 2 slotted bottom brackets, and then that upper one. That should stay in place pretty easily. Then on those, we're gonna add in a provided flat washer and lock nut. This is gonna be for each stud. Now that we've got this one on, we'll get the other 2 loosely in place, and then we'll come back and tighten them all down. All right, so now that we've got all 3 of our brackets on this side, we'll come in with our 13mm socket on our ratchet and tighten these down. And we'll do the same thing for the other two brackets. All right, so next we need to add in our rear support bracket that's gonna mount onto our main rear bracket. So what we're gonna do is grab our support bracket. You want the bolt plate to be facing in towards the vehicle like so. It's gonna sit like this. And we're gonna grab 2 of our provided 13mm bolts and flat washers and slide one into each slot like so. We're gonna line those up with our mounting holes on our bracket, just like this. And we're gonna hold that in place. Now this can be a little bit tricky holding this and getting these nuts installed. We do have a little bit of room, kind of hold that like so. We're gonna get our flat washer in place. You wanna just get one of these on. That's gonna help you greatly to hold it. So we'll get our flat washer on, and then our lock nut. Once you get that hand tight, it's gonna help a lot with this falling out. And we'll come in and get our other one. And we are gonna leave this loose for right now. All right guys, so now we have our steps up on the table, and this is a 2-piece design, so we're gonna have to join these 2 sides together. And for that, we're gonna grab our 5mm Allen head bolts with flat washers. We're gonna send that through the 2 mounting holes at the end of each piece. So we're gonna get one in, get that through. And on the other side of that bolt, we're gonna add another flat washer. Now, this is a little bit of a tight space, so be careful. And a lock washer, followed by a 13mm nut. Get that first one started. And the other one, same thing, but we're gonna send it through the opposite direction. Make sure these are nice and level. Now you do have this plastic cover which you can remove if it's causing you a little bit of alignment problem. So slide that off for now. Get these lined up. And we'll get these tightened down. Now this is admittedly a very tough spot to get a traditional Allen wrench or an Allen socket in to grab onto the Allen bolt. So what you're gonna wanna do is just apply a little bit of tension by torquing these side steps just a bit. You don't want them to go out of alignment. Then we'll grab our 13mm wrench, tighten these down. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Now once we have both of those tight, we're gonna grab our provided backing plate. We're gonna line these up with the welded nuts on each side of our step. And we're gonna grab 4 of our, again, provided Allen head bolts with lock washers and flat washers. Send those through our backing plate into those welded nuts. Now once you have all 4 of your bolts in, it's time to tighten them down with our 5mm Allen socket on our impact. Now you don't want to tighten all these down at once. You want a crisscross pattern. Now that we have this bolted down, we'll slide our cover back on. Get over into position. This is going to line up over top of that plate. I'll get that pushed over the whole thing. Once you have that lined up, we're going to take our plastic rivet screws, pop those into place. And our center pieces, pop those in. Now these are a Phillips head plastic screw. But anyone who's ever worked with these know they kind of just pop in and out. They don't really catch the threads as they're intended. Just push those in. Now once you have this side all set up, you can do the same thing for the other side. Now we're gonna set our board in place on our brackets. That's gonna push this rear one level, which is what we want. All right, so to get our boards mounted to our brackets, we've got our square mounting plates. We're gonna grab our elevator bolts and slide those through the top. are gonna lock into those square holes. Once we have that on, get these up into place, and these are notched out to allow them to slide in at an angle. Just pop those straight, and we'll get these in place. We have our 2 bolt holes. Now we're just gonna loosely get our flat washer and nut on each of our elevator bolts. You don't want to tighten these down yet because you're going to need to lift your board for the other brackets. We'll just get them on there to kind of hold position. Then we'll do the same thing for the other 3 mounting brackets. So once you have your boards loosely in place, you can adjust them to where you want them to sit. Now they don't have too much room back and forth, but they do have a little grit, so get it where you like it, and then we'll start tightening everything down. We're first going to start with our rear support bracket. So we've got a 13mm wrench, our 13mm socket. We're going to tighten this down first. You can also get to the other side. Once we have that tightened down, reach and hold our mounting brackets in place. We'll tighten these down with our 13mm socket. And we'll do the same thing for the other brackets. Now once you have this side on, you can do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our 6-inch I-Step wheel-to-wheel running boards in black finish for your 19 to current Ram 1500 crew cab with 5.7-foot bed. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.